Hey, Fun Nation, week 6 is officially over. Tonight on FRC Roundup, we will be taking a look at 3 topics that cover everything from the current meta of Reefscape to a discussion on different types of defense and difficulty of scouting legal climbers. Hopefully the last time our interesting experiences trying to use Conference Direct to book housing after 2 of us qualified to the championship this past weekend. All of this and more coming up on this episode of FRC Roundup.
This video on fun is brought to you by viewers like you and also in partnership with the following. AndyMark is your one-stop shop for all your robotics competition needs. Celebrating 20 years of quality robotics parts and superior service, AndyMark employees have over 200 years of first-team experience. From mechanical and electrical products to tools and hardware, head on over to andymark.com for high-quality and affordable solutions. Earn up to a $5,000 sponsorship for your team or $2,000 individual prize when you provide a video submission to the Altair Global Student Contest at altair.com/contest. You can build better robots faster with Altair tools and provide multiple video submissions for the contest. Download Altair tools for free. Scan the QR code or go to altair.com/contest for further details.
Welcome to the show. If you have not caught our show previously, FRC Roundup is where we take important topics currently happening in FRC, highlight some discussion points about events that may have happened, strategy, or anything else that correlates with FRC. If you, the fun community, think there's a topic that we should discuss on FRC Roundup, please feel free to ping me on the Fun Discord, and I will be more than happy to take a look at it. If you are not familiar with me, my name is Connor McBride, and I am with Team 166 Chop Shop and an MC and game announcer in the New England District.
And I'm James Osterhaus, an alum of Team 107 Robotics and a current robotics student at the University of Michigan. Our guest tonight is Brendan Brown. Brendan is a longtime First alumni and lead mentor and coach of the New England District Championship Ballard Division Alliance Captain 3467, the Windham Windup, and the latest recipient of the Woody Flowers Finalist Award at the New England District Championship. Brendan, welcome to the show, and congrats on the WFFA and Windham's amazing success this past weekend.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Right on. Hey, Fun Nation, if you guys are probably noticing that our normal co-host, Nick Jr., is not on the show tonight. He has tonight off. So I have to thank you very much, James, for stepping in tonight. Really appreciate you having you guys back on the show tonight. We're going to dive right on into our first topic of the night, which is our meta discussion. Now, this is a constantly evolving topic that we've had throughout this entire season, and kind of want to bring in Brendan on this one first. I know you guys had a very awesome, very productive weekend at the New England District Championship on the Ballard Division, and winning that division, making it off to Ingenuity. So if you want to talk about how your weekend went and some of that strategy that you guys had going on and everything all leading up to your awesome success this weekend.
Absolutely. That was an awesome weekend. Like you were there with us. We were in the Ballard division, such a deep field with such incredible robots there. We had, some of the top teams in the world there, especially the ones here in New England that we had to face off against. Should come down to the end of qualifications, a lot of unique discussions happening around how you're going to build an alliance, who wants to be coral focused, who wants to be algae focused, how are you going to build strategies for playoffs. And then, the big topic coming into play, triple O, 2 offense, 1 on defense. How are you going to play the game? There's so many unique aspects there. We were thrilled to be able to pick up 190, right? Legendary team this year. They had 4 straight wins coming into the event. We were thrilled we had an opportunity to play with them finally this season. Picked up an amazing 3rd robot with 7153 to be kind of a algae-focused hybrid robot. In our strategies, we really felt like we needed someone who could do a little bit of everything for us. They were the perfect team for that to come into play for us. And really, we just had a blast in playoffs. We just kind of ran through every match, went down to the lower bracket after facing the number 1 seed in match 11. And, we were able to come back into finals, take it to 3, get the win. But, we just had a blast playing with those teams. It was an absolute memorable weekend for us. Can't really say much more than that. It was just a blast there up in New England.
Yeah, so I guess just kind of diving into your picks here with 190 and 7153. So what were the things that kind of swayed you towards those teams, especially with 7153? Because I know only half the division ended up making it to playoffs, which is absurd. And for how deep that division is and how many good and deserving teams there are to make it to playoffs, just really curious as to what made you go 7153 route.
Absolutely. We were weighing a lot of things on the back end of the draft. I think number 1 for us was, has to climb deep climb. That's like a non-negotiable. It seems like for every member of the alliance that's going to hit the carpet. Really, you have to deep climb. It's part of the game. Can't give up those 10 points in the last 20 seconds. Absolutely necessary. After that, strong coral capabilities, right? All levels, good auto, solid, reliable. We really needed to weigh the algae for our alliance. So both Windham and 190 we could play the barge. It wasn't necessarily either of our strengths. We were struggling with a little bit in quals. We had added it as a new capability. At UNH, we were playing around with automation here at New England District Championships. We had to revise some things. It wasn't really working well for us. So we really felt that going into playoffs, we needed to have an algae robot on our alliance to take algae out of the reef, get it up into the barge for us. Those 6 algae sitting right there, 24 extra points a match, you have to hit it. So we picked them up. Thankfully, as we played into playoffs, kind of the strategy evolved a little bit. We had 190 start doing a little bit of the barge. Us on Windham, we actually figured out an interesting solution for why our automation wasn't working when we went to go to the barge. Our students figured out that we were not looking at the Blue Alliance reef properly. Our cameras couldn't see it, so our pose was getting messed up. So our driver learned to quickly turn right before looking at the barge, and it would go up in it every time. So kudos to them for figuring that out in the fly in playoffs. But that was really what played it for us. We really needed a strong algae robot, and 7153 played that role for us pretty well.
That's actually kind of impressive. No, I had no idea that's what was going on with your barge capability there, and especially for only having one driver at the sticks. That's super impressive for just all that control just going down to one student. So, James, so I know you were over at MSC. I know you weren't with 107. I know you're alum. What's some stuff that you saw on the 4 divisions over at MSC?
Yeah, so at MSC, I got the pleasure of representing fun and doing lots of behind the bumpers and pit stops. So first of all, and to all the teams I talked to, great job. So exciting to check in with you all this weekend. But from a strategy perspective, so much happened over at MSC. We saw on Fimstein a really high level of play. I think that is going to play into champs. One of the things that I think is most interesting is this meta of LG stealing. Finals 1, 2, and 3, we saw 3 different versions of this play out. And as DCMPs all across the globe happened, everybody realized that LG was the difference maker in these matches. As you get both on L1 and L2, all of a sudden LG is the more valuable game piece. So scoring, getting more LG in the barge is going to be incredible. So you have the Aptive Alliance in blue here in this video, where captained by Enigma and then a first pick Engineers. Engineers does not do LG in the barge. They realize this and they pick 858 Demons Robotics, who is a LG in the barge specialist. Absolutely crazy steal for them to fall that far, for their ability to play this like LG attacking role. Now the Red Alliance and Hemlock, captained by 67, the hot team, as well as their first pick Strike Force and 5843 Flurb. Strike Force realized they're the best LG robot on their alliance, so they actually played that LG attacking role, and we saw them going across the field and stealing LG, actually playing defense in this match, which was really interesting to see. At the highest level, you have your best robot playing that LG defense game changer role, because 67 and Flurb were able to basically fill the reef with those 2 robots. So it's very interesting to see that also happen across the rest of the Reefscape playing field this week. In this Finals 2, however, the Blue Alliance is able to pull it out over the eventual winning alliance of Hemlock, partly due to, in part, 2075 Enigma, who kind of joined in the LG game to help out Demons Robotics, and actually stole an LG off the Red Alliance reef. We saw a couple of teams throughout Reefscape do that this weekend. I know 3005 down in Texas did that in a couple of quals matches. Risky gameplay, but excited to see how that LG play continues to develop to champs. Brendan, I'm curious, how do you think that LG is going to develop as we get to champs?
Oh, absolutely. I think, especially watching Finals 2 over at MSC, you really saw a play out there. I think one of the coolest interactions was when you saw 858 and 2767 interacting with each other, and suddenly the LG transitions from one robot to the floor to the other robot and up into their barge. And that's the type of interaction I think a lot of people, when we first saw this game, initially thought, oh, we're kind of going to miss those robot to robot interactions, the way the field's laid out. We're not really going to see that. And then being able to see it now played out at some of the district championships, it's going to be awesome. We were seeing it a little. We didn't see too much of it up in New England. 1153 has been our algae specialist up here. We saw them play around with it a little bit in their deep finalist run that they made over on the SOSIC division. I think we're going to be seeing that a lot more if you look around the entire playing field of Reefscape. We're seeing more algae, more stealing, more daring moves. repeating MSC, right? 2767 being the captain being one of the more main robots in the alliance, taking that offensive role on the other side of the field that usually you would see a defensive pick going across the field. They took the lead on that. They took the lead on that, which was really cool to see. So I think algae is going to be the main ingredient we're going to see going into the champs, because at the highest level, you're almost guaranteed to have a full reef in playoffs, right? Qualification matches, your 4 game piece autos can give you a good advantage, get you ahead of the other lines. You can kind of stay ahead a little bit, but come playoffs, everybody's scoring on a full reef, and algae's the difference maker, along with a couple other items of trying to fill up level 1, but algae's the main ingredient.
Absolutely. So one of the reasons that I put this Quals 100 here at the PNW District Champs in the show is 2910 played this algae attacking role as well, but rather than going for the barge, they're going to spam the processor here. And I believe I counted they caused the other alliance's human player to miss 4 shots. So pretty big point swing. Do you guys think that we'll see kind of, as LG progresses through the match, a pivot to the processors as the barge gets more full? Or do you think we'll just see more like Strike Force style where they're trying to place it very precisely?
I think you'll see it. I think there's discussions of, right, as the other alliance's barge fills up, there's the opportunity to switch over the processor. Like you said, try to take the gamble that you can take a 2-point gain and turn it into a 6-point game. Swings like that are huge, and especially if you can make them repeat swings. Plus, scoring into the processor, that's very easy to do, right? Kind of drive up against the wall, hope it doesn't bounce back. You can make some really quick cycles to the processor, and especially with how easy it is for the algae to spread around the field. That could be some of your quickest cycles at the end of a match.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I know for me, with 166, we were on the Ballard division along with Brendan and Windham. Our students had a really good time playing with such a high level of teams there, and we knew every match was going to be awesome. We had a tough schedule, and we got second pick to the 8 seed, had a quick 0-2 out, but students had such a blast being able to play with people and being able to see all these awesome robots throughout New England, and just going up to teams, just asking questions and just learning about their design process and how they were able to get through all that. We actually just ended up qualifying for Houston the other day, so off of a couple declines. So I know everyone is super amped over at 166 to see everyone at Houston, and I know I am as well. So I think before we go and move into our next topic, we're going to bring Tyler on. We're going to hear about our friends at AndyMark and start our first giveaway.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Connor, and congrats on that qualification as well, too. We can't wait to see 166 at Worlds. So, yeah, let's stop and think a moment. Thank AndyMark for their awesome support of fun and their continued support of fun. They have extended their 25% off sale, by the way. So if you're looking for some of those last-second components, go over to andymark.com right now, and that is your opportunity to get some great discounts on a lot of great products that they have as well, especially if you're going to Worlds and need to stock up last second. Speaking of which, by the way, too, they do have their championship shipping, where they will bring items to their booth at championships, both for FRC and FTC as well, too. So make sure you stop by and check out their different demos that they're showcasing as well. But if you do need some parts, you can get them sent right there as well, too. So thanks again to AndyMark for their continued support, and make sure you check out their extended 25% off sale. We're also going to start a giveaway from AndyMark right away. So that's going to be for a set of 4 9mm Y 5-inch pitch HTD timing belts. These are 62 counts. They're a composite flexible rubber and fiberglass tensile member throughout. They're synchronous timing belts, also known as a tooth belt, and are designed to eliminate slippage and keep any number of objects rotating in a constant rate. So if you're interested in winning this, type Water Game in chat right now. That's your opportunity to win. And don't forget that if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, absolutely free to do, keep you updated on everything Fun is doing, you're going to get 3 times luck to win. So once again, type Water Game in chat, and we'll draw for that in just a little bit. Let's send it back down to the team to go on the topic 2.
Alrighty. So now we're going to jump into topic number 2. So we're going to be talking about scouting and some of the strategies here as well. So a lot of it here is about legal climbing. So I think a lot of people have seen at events throughout the world this year is, climbs just getting taken away, or some climbs getting awarded, and here and there. It can be kind of difficult because there's 2 different things that can really disqualify a team from climbing. And it was like, hey, maybe they're touching the ground just barely, you can't see it at 3 seconds after the match, or maybe they're contacting the chain or the anchor. So it's going to be pretty difficult. I know, Brendan, you're pretty vocal about this off camera and last night, so definitely want to hear your opinions. And does Windham have any strategies, any kind of ways that they are going to be working around this for scouting for that deep climb?
Absolutely. Well, we haven't done any of our post-mortems, post-district champs, but we need to get on that because short week heading up to the World Championship. But, we're talking about seeing how we can try to integrate some of the details and information coming out of the API and TBA to try to get that automated into our scouting data, to try to pull it because it's, if you go to the Blue Alliance, it's recording right there. Who was recorded for a park, who was recorded for a climb. At a bare minimum, right, one of the easiest things we can do is, go into TBA a couple matches later, start checking, does the data that we have in our systems match what the Blue Alliance is recording with what first recorded for the match? Very easy thing to go check in there. Other things too, especially if it's your own qualification match, go talk to the head referees, go to the question box. They'd love to tell you, hey, this is what we were seeing. We were getting feedback on our climbs all weekend from our head referee. We know other teams were. We've gone in and we've questioned why our partners didn't get credit, even if it wasn't our own climb. We could see we clearly climbed. We questioned theirs, and we would get information from the head ref, pass it to our scouts. Little things like that go a long way with trying to build up information because, again, those 10 points are so crucial, and I think that's going to be a key part of we're going to see a lot of matches at the World Championship decided by the difference of having a 36-point end game, 24-point end game, 12-point end game, or 6-point end game. Like it's going to come down to the wire in a lot of matches, right? You can't give up those points. So really trying to scout for high quality, consistent, fast climbs that are legal is going to be very important.
Yeah, I think you're really hitting the nail on the head with that. And I think we've even seen a ton of close matches on both Ballard and Sosick this past weekend in New England, where it literally came down to those climbs. And that in some cases in playoff matches, I mean, for some teams that could have been the difference of making it to Houston and not making it. So I think that's all very valid stuff there. James, I know you're not working with the team, but I know you've seen a lot of robots climbing, a lot of robots getting their climbs null and void. So I'm curious as to hear what your opinions are on this.
Yeah, like you said, Connor, not actively scouting with any teams right now. But I think the most clear way to make you able to consistently climb is, be able to get high off of the ground. I think of our normal host here, Nick Jr.'s team. 33 gets off the ground pretty high. And they don't usually have many questions around, all right, are they off the ground or not? Now the question is, all right, are they touching the chain or not? And we saw that at MSC with a couple different teams all across the board. And it's really hard. And like you said, I think that talking to the refs from your team's perspective is a good way to get that feedback. And from a scouting perspective, pulling data and checking with TPA is really the best and only thing you can do. Something as a media guy, being close up on the field, actually recording those climbs is a good way to see that feedback. So as a team, if I was at championships, I would have my media person trying to get as close up footage of those climbs as possible to review, as well as to scout through that. I think is important. But yeah, it's a tricky thing to scout for, and like you guys have been saying, it's going to come down to maybe even winning a world championship or not. So I hope we don't have that situation where it's a referee decision making it.
Yeah, I can see that be pretty difficult. I mean, I know the refs don't usually, the refs never have it easy in any game, but I know that's something that I was doing a lot with 166 at our first couple events. I know our climber was a little bit iffy, and there were times when we go to climb, and it was like, all right, was that us? Was that our partner? And I think combined for all of our events this year is the most time I've ever been into the question box in my combined with all my time in FRC. And it's never just been like, hey, you didn't give why are we missing this ranking point? Or like there are these fouls that didn't get called or this, that. It's just, I just want to know, it's just I probably couldn't see something that you saw in my climb or my partner's climb, or I just want to know about what's kind of going on there. And that's something that you can bring out to your scouting team. Cause it's we have a behind the glass and right next to the field. If you're media or taking all that stuff, it's a lot easier for us to be able to go and see that kind of stuff. But your scouts who are way up in the stands, who could be, I don't know, maybe 50 feet, they could be 200 feet or 400 feet away. That can be a pretty far distance to try and see just the smallest kind of contact with the ground or with that anchor. and just getting that relayed over to your scouts so that they can add comments into that, and going and talking with your doing your strategy meetings later at night with your team, and you're just looking for that second best robot, and just like, all right, who are we going to go with? What does our data say? Were they climbing? Yes, but was it getting null and void a lot? It can be pretty difficult there. Do you guys have anything else that you guys want to talk about in this climbs? I know we also wanted to talk a little bit about defense here a little bit, between the defense between the coral station and the barge, as to do two different types of defense. I personally think, that can be really tough, because that barge zone is a protected zone, and you can be playing with fire, but that could be so easy to make a team miss. I know, Brendan, that's something that you wanted to talk about as well.
Yeah, the different types of defense you can play in this game is, it's really unique because it's multiple spots. You can play it at the coral stations. That's the most obvious spot we've been seeing it. We were seeing a lot more strategically in playoffs with teams trying to block access to the barge early on, right? Everyone's trying to quickly get the algae up into the reef, get those quick 4-point cycles in. A lot of people starting to block those cycles. We were seeing it being very tactical in a sense that not everybody's grip on the algae is secure. Ours isn't, especially. We noticed that. Some teams took advantage of that. They would just give it a little tap as we went by, and the algae would come out. Right, we're all just used to, most of the beginning part of the year, it was quickly get it out of the reef and put it on the floor. Now it's get it up into the barge, and not everybody has the best grip on the algae as they're doing it. So a lot of good tactical defense being played there. You're even seeing it at the end game. We saw a lot of teams that didn't have deep climbs, coming through the cages last second to try to block some cycles to the to try to prevent robots getting back to the cages. That little bit of blockage and kind of flustering everybody at the last second, right? You're trying to go climb and suddenly now there's a robot in your way, you're trying to get around, right? You're not expecting it. Little things like that go a long way towards switching the outcome of a match. So really cool to see the defense, the tactics that are coming out.
Yeah, building off of that, I think that last second climb defense is something really interesting. And if you're a team without a deep climb, is a way to kind of stay competitive. You can do that without getting penalties. Obviously, like you said, Connor, playing with fire, right? You got to make sure you're locking your wheels, winning the pushing matches there. But it's definitely a form of defense that's definitely valid. And it'll be, I think that's one of the reasons I like this game so much, is just the difference in strategies that can work. You can play defense, you can play triple O, you can play hybrid of all of it. I think it makes for a very fun watch.
Yeah. And how you try to react to those different strategies is unique too. Something we were discussing is, in some of our later playoff matches, we knew defense was coming across to us. We would have discussions of, okay, well, if they're coming to play defense at a certain point, let's try to get our coral cycles in early before they come over, right? Try to fill up the reef as much as possible and keep us all offensively in one area. And then later on, as they come over to play defense, then let's spread out. Okay, now let's start taking the algae out of the barge. Let's basically spread out across the field and try to split the defender in different ways. We were discussing tactics like that, as try to counter the defenders coming across the field. It's very unique, the different ways that could play. And then you're trying to see, are they blocking access to the barge? Are they blocking access to a coral station? Are they just sticking to one person? Are they just trying to create mayhem between the reef and the coral stations, kind of in the middle, a little bit of everything? You're also trying to pick, which robot on your alliance do you want to try to keep free the most? For us, it was 190. We were trying to keep them open as much as possible. So we would, we told 7153, we told our drivers, like, hey, if they're on you, that's fine. That's great. That's, that's the one we'd rather them to be on us than to keep 190 free, keep them cranking coral. So it's defense is going to be really unique at the top level.
Yeah, so with all this, with all these different kind of strategies they can play out through these matches. I mean, we've seen a lot of similar strategies, but I don't think but we've also seen like a large, broad, wide amount of different strategies that we've seen and become effective and win blue banners. So I guess a lot of that kind of comes down into scouting all these teams and how effective they are. And is there anything, Brendan, that Windham is looking at specifically in scouting, or anything unique that you guys think that you guys are doing differently than other teams?
I wouldn't say there's anything necessarily unique that we're doing. We try to focus a lot on let the data speak for itself, and then let the students speak for it too, right? They're the ones watching the matches all day. Really let them speak to the teams that they're taking a look at. we also have a group that tries to focus on alliance readiness. So we try to make sure that they take a peek at all the robots to give us a general idea of how they feel, kind of the build quality is, if there's anything that we should consider. Never really putting anybody on a DMP list, but it's just, hey, watch items. Maybe if we take a peek at this team to pick them, maybe we want to take a look at some of the wiring a little bit closer, or the reverse of, hey, if you're looking at these robots, this one seems to have a little bit more of a robust system with how they built it. Little things like that, I think, go a really long way.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. All right. Well, before we head in wrap up the show, let's bring Tyler on. Oh, no, sorry. Wrong part. We're going to go into our final topic of the night. We're going to bring on our producer, Tyler, to draw for a giveaway and start another one.
Yeah, we got to do some giveaways and stuff first, man. So let's go ahead and do that. Once again, I'm from our friends at AnyMark. We're giving away the 9mm belts. If you do win, please go to funroboticsnetwork.com and click on the giveaway winner button so we can get that out to you. Just keep in mind, champs is coming up here. Maybe a little delayed, that sort of thing as well. The winner of that is going to be Turtle M. Congratulations, Turtle M. Please go to funroboticsnetwork.com and click the giveaway button link so we can get that out to you. And thanks again to AnyMark for the awesome giveaway. We're going to start another giveaway here in just a moment as well, too. But hopefully you've been hearing about something really cool that your team can be focused on, especially once you get outside of champs. And that's the new Altair contest that just started. So if you're utilizing Altair tools, or if you haven't already, they come in the kit apart, and you can actually get a $5,000 sponsorship for your team when you submit a video about utilizing Altair. They're also looking for some other individual part submissions as well too. And Altair tools allow you to build better robots faster. You can do anything from like weight reduction as well too. We just posted a really cool pit stop describing how teams are actually reducing weight on their robots while too utilizing Altair software, to many other things as well. And they're giving away multiple $2,000, $1,000, $500 individual prizes, and then as I mentioned as well too, $5,000 sponsorships for your team as well. So if you want to learn more about what they have to offer, make sure you go check it out at altair.com/contest. The latest round just started. It's going to end at the end of June, so you got some time, but go get some details now so you don't forget about it at altair.com/contest. We're going to start our final giveaway from our friends at the Thrifty Bot for a $25 Thrifty Bot gift card. Type in Thrifty Pit for the keyword on there, and that's because just like our friends at AnyMark as well too, Thrifty Bot is also offering the ship to Houston option as well too. Where you can pick it up right at the Thrifty Bot Pit booth as well too. So type in Thrifty Pit. That's your keyword for $25 gift card from the Thrifty Bot. And don't forget, if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, you're going to get 3 times luck to win this giveaway. Once again, Thrifty Pit will draw for that in just a little bit. Let's send it back down to the team.
All righty.
Thanks,
Thanks
Tyler.
for that, Tyler. Yeah, all right. We're going to move on to our third topic of the night, and James, lead us off.
Yeah, thanks, Connor. So our third topic of the night, we're going to talk about booking housing. Let's go. Everybody's favorite 2025 topic, Conference Direct, all the new stuff with first housing contracts. First of all, chat, let us know. We'd love to hear your stories of what's going well and what's also not going well. But first, Connor, how's your team experiencing so far? You guys qualified. What's it looking like?
Yeah, so I know I'm not too involved in our booking process of flights and hotels, but I know we got everything. We got our official invite from First Saturday morning, and believe everything got booked late Saturday night, at least for hotels. I think flights are just got finalized today. But from what I've heard from at least from our lead mentors is our process actually went pretty okay. We wanted to get hotels that were within walking distance of the GRB. I think that was going to be a little bit of a pipe dream, to be completely honest, after qualifying, week 6. And a lot of those hotels are already booked by a lot of teams that qualified earlier in the season or pre-qualified for 2025 champs. But, we got something, it was close to IAH. It's only about like 20-25 minute drive. Book it. Trying to find vehicles right now has not been easy. I know we're trying to look for some 14 to 16 person passenger vans. Hopefully we'll be able to find something, but it sounds like they were able to get everything done within a few hours. So I don't know. we might be one of the lucky ones that kind of were able to get the right hotels and the amount of rooms that we needed. I know I've heard a lot of teams have had some issues with having to have their team split up from one hotel to another, or just not being able to get anything. I haven't heard of any team that was like, this is so bad we just can't even go and compete. I have not heard that. If anyone has, or if anyone is in chat that has heard about that, please let us know. I'd love to hear about that. But I don't know. Hey, but yeah, Brendan, I know you are working with Windham on getting all that travel itinerary stuff down. Are you guys having a similar situation as us, or different, or what do you got going on?
I'd say it's been okay so far. I think we're in a big group of teams big group of mentors who think we follow the directions today, and we're on suspense to find out tomorrow if we put in our name templates correctly for our hotels. I think there's a lot of us that are sitting here on pins and needles, sending messages and templates back and forth saying, did you get this correct? Did you get that correct? How did you fill this out? Where did you put your information? Because I'm surprised that there's only made like a 2-page sheet of directions for us to go through this process for the most part. I'd say in general, the process has been, I'd say, okay. I think a lot of us just wish there was a little bit more communication. Me and another mentor went through the entire list of hotels, and we treated it like a pick list. We looked at every single hotel option and kind of gave it a rating, color-coded things. Had to frustratingly add our own columns because certain data was merged in together, which made it hard to sort. And, wasn't really reasonable to work with. So we modified stuff. But I would say, having been part of the big group of teams that all got qualified this weekend, I would say FRC did a good job of trying to do what they did of trickling out hotel access throughout the season. There was a lot more options available when I looked. We got the email when we were driving back from Springfield. I was very surprised by how many options there were available. Very easy to sort distance to hotel or price. Easy to navigate, quickly get a block. It was now the follow-up steps of submitting names and filling out the rest of the information that again, hoping, fingers crossed, we did correctly. We'll see. I think we'll all have our gripes about whatever system that they use. I think very high level, you can kind of understand what they're doing. We're a very large group all going to one area. They need to guarantee us all housing, but we all have our preferences, and it's expensive. It's a very expensive trip to make down there. So I do feel for a lot of teams, if you feel like you were put into a hotel that's more expensive than you can normally afford, or further away than you can normally handle, it's a lot of logistics down there to travel to a new state and figure out how to get everybody from point A to point B. Sometimes building the robots is easier than getting the team to travel around the country, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Brendan, you kind of touched on there at the end, but I'm curious, I guess, Connor, like, how did the price comparison turn out for you guys compared to what you've had previous years? I know when I've been looking into it, it seems like it's not really always the best deal possible, like they advertise.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to give you a good answer on that, unfortunately. It's something that I did try and ask around to see, like, hey, what are the pricing? But I know our lead mentors have been incredibly busy trying to get everything, so I haven't been able to see a lot of the details. I would imagine it's not too bad. I know we stayed at a pretty expensive hotel a couple of years ago, back in 2023, and the response after that was never again. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're a little bit more budget friendly this time around.
Yeah, I'd say we've had a bit of a different experience in some respects. So we did agree with Connor. We had a 1 year where we paid very expensive for one of our hotels. We said never again. We've now been at the same hotel for 3 years, and we found it initially outside of Conferences Direct because there was no availability in 2022 and 2024. And in one of those years, if we were going outside, we learned that we were going to be paying more than the Conferences Direct rate. So thankfully, the hotel management system worked with us, and they gave us the Conferences Direct rate, which is a lot cheaper. So I would say in general, though, if you can shop around on your own, you could definitely find a better rate than some of these hotels that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know one of our other fun correspondents, Samantha, I know her team 2470 qualified this past weekend based off a winning EI. So I know she had a couple notes that she wanted to pass along for their experience. So I know she was saying, they're making the actual room assignments the same way as any other trip was a nice big puzzle, just making sure who was in which room and whatnot. We got a big list of hotels, and they showed which ones met the required amount of rooms, but those rooms could either be single or double beds. So you have to go in and see, and you need to recount, make sure that you have enough for that. Doing this the Monday after week 6, they showed 44 hotels with enough room for all of us, closest being 13 miles away, but partially and a lot having partial availability. So we had to decide whether, splitting the team up or not. It was very helpful of having a big spreadsheet with all the public transportation that was available, whether if it was bus lines or any of the trains running throughout the metro area. They said it wasn't too bad once they figured out how the whole spreadsheets worked. It was just a lot more time consuming of, taking the names and placing everyone into hotels and getting the badges done. So it sounds like, at least from our general consensus here on the show and in our back channels, is that, it was a little confusing at first, but it was just a lot more time consuming just getting the whole process down.
I think it was just a little more stressful without too much information. A quick how-to video would have been great. A little bit more information.
Yeah, I'm
gonna hold my breath till Thursday, Friday to make sure that we're all good, and as well as everybody else, hoping that everybody gets their confirmations emails.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like,
yeah. Alrighty. Well, before we go and wrap up the show, let's bring Tyler back on to draw for our giveaway.
Thanks, Connor. That was for a $25 Thrifty Bot gift card, and Thrifty Pit was your keyword in order to win. By the way, if we do draw your name, please go to funroboticsnetwork.com and click that giveaway winner link. Just a reminder, you have 2 days to submit that. Always, we will redraw for a new winner in our Discord as well, too. And that winner is going to be, hey, it's Heather Martin. Congratulations, Heather. Please make sure you go to funroboticsnetwork.com so we can get your information. Just need your email as is a gift card. And thanks again to both Andy Mark and the Thrifty Bot for the awesome giveaways today.
Alrighty, well, hey, that's the show. Thank you so much to Brendan, our guest, for coming on. On behalf of our producer, Tyler Olds, my co-host, James, and all fun correspondents, I'm Connor McBride, and thank you for tuning in. Good luck to all teams competing at the first championship next week. We'll see you back for our post-Champs Roundup right after Champs here on Fun Robotics Network. Don't forget to check out all of our other content, and you can watch the archive of the show right here on YouTube by searching Fun Robotics Network. We can't wait to see all of you at the first championship. Good luck, and we'll see you next time on FRC Roundup.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. Earn up to a $5,000 sponsorship for your team or a $2,000 individual prize when you provide a video submission to the Altair Global Student Contest at altair.com/contest. You can build better robots faster with Altair tools and provide multiple video submissions for the contest. Download Altair tools for free. Scan the QR code or go to altair.com/contest for further details. Andy Mark provides superior service with the reliability that teams expect. Check out their sport gearbox and ratchet sport options to their tried and true compliant wheels used by teams all over the world. From mechanical and electrical products to tools and hardware, head on over to andymark.com for your one-stop shop of high quality and affordable solutions.